Today I'm going to be testing and reviewing the all-new ThermoPro Twin TempSpike Dual Probe Thermometer. So I did a video where I compared the ThermoPro TempSpike to the Meter Plus. If you guys haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out. I will put a link down in the description for you. Now, the TempSpike is a great thermometer and you really can't beat the price of it. If you're looking for a nice wireless meat thermometer that's not gonna break the bank, the TempSpike is your best bet. There's a lot of cheap wireless meat thermometers out there, but ThermoPro is a good name in the meat thermometer world, and that's why their TempSpike is a great option, especially at the price point that they are selling these at. But they have come out with an all-new thermometer. They are calling it the Twin TempSpike. As you can see, this has two probes. This is really going to be able to compete with the Meter Block, which is very nice. It's exactly like the TempSpike. It's just giving you two probes. It's got the same style case where you can plug it in to charge it. You don't have batteries on these. You can just get it recharged. It is also magnetic. And the cool thing about this is it has a screen on the front where you can see both your ambient and internal temperatures, which I really like this feature because if you have a normal wireless meat thermometer and something happens with the app, there's no way to tell what the temperature of the thermometer is. At least if there's an issue with the app on this, you can still view your temperatures on the screen. So I think that is super important and a really nice feature for this Twin TempSpike. So if you're cooking multiple different meats, this is also a great option because you got both probes right there for you. Or say you're doing something like a brisket, you want to put one in the point and one in the flat, this is a great option. But I want to get this thing tested, and today to test this out, I'm going to be cooking two of my favorite cuts of steak. And those are a picanha and a tri-tip. These are two absolutely delicious cuts of steak that are not really as well known as the ribeye and filet mignon. If you can find these cuts of steaks, I highly suggest giving them a try. They're both absolutely delicious, and you can see this tri-tip right here is beautifully marbled. This is going to be a good cut of steak. Now, this may not look like a normal picanha, and that is because I have gone ahead and removed that fat cap on there. I know usually you leave it on, but we're not going to be doing a hot and fast grill like normal on this. I'm going to be doing a slow smoke on both of these cuts of meat. Another reason I want to do that is because under that fat cap, there's a membrane which can be kind of chewy if it's not cooked right. So I went ahead, just removed the whole thing, and this thing is going to be absolutely delicious. And like I said, I'm going to be slow cooking these on my pellet smoker. The low heat on the pellet smoker isn't going to allow that fat cap to render down like I would want, so I just went ahead and removed it. But these are all trimmed up, ready to go. Let's just get them seasoned. And I'm also going to be trying two different seasonings on these to compare. For the picanha, I've got this salt grass 7 steak spice seasoning. This stuff looked pretty good, so I'm gonna give it a try. Just put a nice liberal coating on there. I'll put a link to this seasoning down below if you're interested in giving it a try. Make sure to get all the sides. And this saltgrass seasoning is gonna give this picanha a beautiful look. Now for the tri-tip, I found this Kinder's Buttery Steakhouse Seasoning. I'm excited to give this a try on a nice steak. It smells very buttery, but it also has some nice herbs in there. I think this stuff is going to be really nice. Let's get this liberally coated. This butter seasoning smells absolutely fantastic. I'm super excited to try this. But check out this picanha. Look at the color that that seasoning gave this meat. That looks fantastic. So I'm excited about both these. Let's go ahead, get our probes in here so we can get them on the grill. I've got the white probe here. I want to try and get it right in the middle, in the thick part. And before I put this in, there's a line on these probes. You want to make sure you get it fully past that line. All right, now the black probe is going into the tri-tip. Same thing, just make sure you want the thickest part of the meat right in the middle and get it past that line. There we go. All right, so these are all set. I'm gonna be cooking these on my pellet smoker today. So that is all fired up to 225 degrees. Let's go ahead and throw these on now. All right, out at the Z-Grill's pellet smoker, I just had the lid open. That's why we're at 195, but I got it set to 225 right there. So let's get these steaks on. Let's get the picanha on here. We'll get the tri-tip right next to it. There we are. Got the tri-tip on, picanha on. Let's get this closed up. Now we got the base here. You can see that's our ambient temp. That is our internal, so we're sitting at 54 degrees on both of these. I took these out, let them rest for about an hour to warm up on the counter. So now I'm just gonna leave this base. I don't want this in the sun, so what I'm gonna do here is just stick it right on the side of my smoker, and that is what's great about having the magnet. Let's get inside and set this app up. All right, both the picanha and the tri-tip are on the smoker. Let's go ahead and check out our app and get these cooks set up. So you can see here in my devices, it's gonna show my original TempSpike, and then it's also showing the twin TempSpike down here. So if you're wondering if you can monitor multiple temp sticks at once, you definitely can. That shows it right here. So if I had another piece of meat I want to cook, I can use my other TempSpike and use that as well. That's a great thing to know, because if you have a TempSpike already and you're looking to buy another one, or even buy this twin TempSpike, you know you'll be able to use them all simultaneously at the same time under the same app. That is a very nice feature. All right, but let's go ahead and set this cook up. So all I'm gonna do is click the twin TempSpike here. Now it'll show you this is probe black, then we have the white probe here. But let's go ahead and set this up now. So the black probe is going to be for the tri-tip, but here at the bottom you can see this plus. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that, and for name I'm gonna put in tri-tip, and for the tri-tip I'm going for 130 degrees, and just hit save at the bottom, and now we have a tri-tip. So click that. Okay, now it's going to tell you to stick the probe in, which we already have done. The booster must be kept at least 1 foot away from the meat, and there we go. Simple as that. Now you can see tri-tip on there. Let's go ahead and do the same thing with the other. I want to add this. We're going to set this one at picanha, if I can spell it right. I believe that's correct. And we're going to do the same 130 degrees. And then check that. Okay. Yep. Yep. Boom. Now we know we have tri-tip and picanha. Both of our internal temps are targeted at 130 degrees. You can see our ambient temps are at 225 right now at the bottom. And so for these alarms right here, this is going to be your internal temperature alarm. You can go ahead and set that on or off, and as well as changing your vibrations. You can also set alarms at the bottom for ambient temperature, which is currently set off, but for this cook it looks like it's set up pretty well at a low of 225 and a high of 250. It'll let me know if that smoker drops below 225 or if the heat is getting above 250. These are both great things to know. Maybe not so much on this cook, but more if you're doing an overnight cook. You want to know if your smoker is operating properly, and it'll notify you if something's wrong with your smoker and it starts to drop temperature. But that's pretty much it for the apps here. Very simple to use, and again, like all wireless meat thermometers, distance is really the issue. TempSpike says that it has a 500-foot range, which is probably under ideal circumstances with nothing else in the way. When you're out there barbecuing, there's going to be a ton of stuff in the way. You're going to have it on your grill, and you're going to be trying to do this in your house, so it's going to be going through all your walls and everything. This is really going to drop that range down. So just remember that when they say 500 feet, it's under ideal circumstances. But for the most part, the TempSpike has a pretty decent range for me. But like all the other wireless thermometers, it's kind of tough if you're moving around your house a lot. I'm just going to let these steaks cook. I don't even have to watch them. My phone's going to give me an alarm when they hit the internal temperature that I'm looking for. Then we can go ahead and take them off, give them a quick sear, and then we'll slice them up and see how these things came out. All right, so the steaks have been on for about an hour. Check them out. Looking fantastic. That saltgrass seasoning gives this a beautiful color. Then check out the tri-tip with that butter steak seasoning. That looks great as well. So if we come over here, we can see our internal temperature. We have 127 on black, 126 on white. So all I want to do is just verify these temperatures with my instant read thermometer. And on white, I know it's hard to see, we are reading about 124 on white. This is 126, so it is pretty close. Let's see what we got on the tri-tip or the black one. So on black, we're about 131, almost 132. And on here it is saying 127. So that is also pretty close. This one was reading a little bit hotter than what the temp is. This one was reading a little bit lower. So I'm just gonna let these go till we get 130 on our internal temps. And then we will pull these off and get them seared. All right, so I got the alerts for both these that they were at 130 degrees. I got the notification for the tri-tip first, and not shortly after I got the picanha notification. So both these cooked relatively at the same time. So I pulled them off. I'm just gonna let them rest for a little bit before I sear them. And while we do that, I'd like to just go over a few other things on the app. On the home page here, you can see the gear at the top left. If you hit that, it's gonna give you all your different settings here. You can choose what kind of temperature unit you want, your screen display, but then down here, it's gonna give you a booster alarm, which this is nice because if you are not near your phone, it will allow the booster to make an alarm itself. So if you're near that, it will be going off instead of just your phone. And then here under alarm sounds, you can go in and change to any sort of sound you want. They have tons of different sounds, so if you want to spend the time, go through there and see which ones you like. And right here, you can do a temp pre-alarm. So you can set this for 5, 10, 15 degrees before your target temperature. This is a nice thing to do. I usually like to set this at 5, but I just want to go over those settings with you real quick. But these should be ready to sear, and you have a couple different options for searing a steak when it's finished. You go ahead, fire up your charcoal grill if you want. Just give these a nice hot and fast sear just to give it that nice charcoal flavor. You can also heat up a cast iron skillet, cook these in some butter with some seasoning if you want. Or like I'm gonna do today, I'm gonna take these and I'm gonna sear them with my sous vide torch gun. It is a quick and easy way to get a beautiful sear on these steaks without worrying about overcooking the inside anymore. Because if you cook these on a cast iron skillet, they're gonna start to cook a little bit longer, which isn't a big deal. But with the sous vide gun, we can get an extremely quick sear on these without worrying about cooking the inside. So let's get these outside, we'll get them torched and get a beautiful crust on these. So I got both these steaks on a cooling rack. Here is the sous vide gun I'm going to be searing it with. So let's get right to this. There we are, beautiful crust on there. Let's get these sliced up. All right, the steaks are seared. They smell absolutely fantastic. It was a super easy cook thanks to the ThermoPro TempSpike. This dual probe thermometer is a really nice addition, and I would highly suggest you picking one of these up. Compared to a meter block, this is going to be a lot cheaper, and having this screen on here is awesome. Like I said, even if the map is messing up, you still have this, which is going to tell you your internal temperatures. It's also nice being able to have two probes when you're doing two different kinds of meats, but I'm excited to give these steaks a try, so let's slice into them. So I'm going to start with the tri-tip here, and you can see the grains are running in this direction, but here towards this end, they kind of turn that way. So just keep that in mind. So I'm gonna cut this right in half, and we'll see how this thing came out. Oh, nice. Beautiful medium right there. This is a good looking steak. Just check that out. Nice and juicy. So let's get into the picanha here, and it's a little bit harder to see where the grains are on this, but they are going in this direction. So again, I want to cut this right in half, right in the thick part, just to see how it came out. Oh yeah, check that out. That's a good looking steak right there. The picanha is nice and tender. Another perfect medium, and you can see how it's wall-to-wall pink. That's because this method with smoking it like that at a low temperature allows it to slowly come up to temp. Let me go ahead and get some slices off of here. And I like nice thin slices of picanha. Oh yeah, I can already tell this is gonna be good. And while I'm here, I'll get a couple slices of this tri-tip. Tri-tip definitely looks a little more well done than the picanha. Just check that out. Is that not a gorgeous looking piece of meat? Nice and juicy. Picanha is so good. And you can see the tri-tip here. Definitely a little more cooked than the picanha, but still that will be good because the tri-tip actually is a little bit better cooked more than the picanha. Let's go ahead and give these a try, and I will start with the tri-tip here. You can see it's nice and tender. That is so good. One of my favorite steaks. And that butter seasoning is absolutely fantastic. Highly suggest giving it a try. It's got some delicious herbs in there that give it a fantastic flavor. Let me see how this picanha came out. And you can see how tender that is. Awesome flavor. Picanha is one of my favorite for a reason. The saltgrass seasoning is very tasty. So these are two lesser known cuts of steak, but they are absolutely delicious. Highly suggest giving them a try. And cooking it this method, you will get fantastic results, especially if you have a wireless thermometer like this. It makes it super easy. Anyone can get results like this. Like I said, if you don't have a torch to sear, you can definitely do this in a cast iron or on a flat top. Any way to get a nice crust on there. I'm telling you, give this a try. And I'm gonna put a link down below for the ThermoPro Twin TempSpike. This is a very cool wireless meat thermometer, and I'll also put a link to everything else I like to use in my videos down below as well, so be sure to check that out. But I hope you guys did enjoy watching this video. If you did, please give it a like. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe right over here. And if you want to see that TempSpike versus Meter Plus video, be sure to check it out right over here. But most importantly, get out there and smoke something good.